Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Welcome, Leafs fans. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Game Over Toronto, where the Leafs lay another massive dump on on the ice. I don't know what else to say, man. Like we lost 4-3 in overtime against the Sharks, and honestly, we shouldn't have even gotten into overtime. We played disgusting out there. It was absolutely a shit show, and they should really be disappointed in themselves. That was just
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. The Sharks are 2-7. You know, we just came off of a disappointing loss in Vegas and they had 3 nights to work through it, you know. This should have been a statement win. This should have been a comeback win. This should have been something that they worked hard at. And yeah.
Well,
I just read a tweet from Dom Lucius, and the Leafs record as a heavy favorite is 1-2-1 as a negative 200 favorite or higher, which is sad. Like, what do you even say to that? It's ridiculous, man.
At least we have a lot to talk about. I mean, we got to talk about those damn those damn penalties. We got to talk about Hall. Goddamn Hall, what are you doing? And we'll talk about the lineup changes. But yeah, first, before we even begin, we got to give a shout out to Sports Interaction for their continued support of Game Over. Want to bet? You can do it at Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook. Football continues, the World Series is around the corner, and they have dropped the puck on the hockey season. Bet pregame, live and play, or on one of our many prop bets. Made for Canadians by Canadians. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Ontario only, 19 and older, and please play responsibly. So Armaan, they had how many days again? 3 days since their last game, the absolute shit show that was that Vegas game, and it took us 30 seconds for them to remind us that they're completely asleep when they jump on the ice, eh?
Yeah.
That first goal, egregious. Yeah. And that was they were just sloppy. They looked like they didn't know what was going on out there, and they were just not skating. I don't know what
it was
going
lazy on. It was lazy to start that goal 30 seconds in. The only thing you can describe it as lazy.
But it's every game at this point.
Yeah,
we've been talking about this since the first game of the season, and we shot it up to just nerves and just them building their way back up into the season, and we're looking at like the end of October now, and it's the same sentiment game in and game out, and a lot of the times it's spearheaded with Hall. Hall looked insane out there. I mean, that whole play where he completely lost his man, he just couldn't keep up skating wise, right? He lost him, and it turned over and led to the first goal of the game, and it was the first goal that Källgren had to face as the third stringer who was playing a game today because of an illness to Samsonov. So thank God Samsonov isn't injured or anything. It's just load management. But imagine giving up a shot like that as the first that's the first shot to Källgren.
It's setting him up to fail. You know, you don't like when you have a backup in and he's a young guy and he's your third stringer. Like, help him out a bit. I mean, come on. Hall needs to learn how to skate. He fell down in the Vegas game too. It's ridiculous. This can't be happening, man. It's just, I don't get what's going on with him, you know. But like, not even just Hall. Like, Matthews also really disappointed me on that play. He had the lead on the trailing skater, Logan Couture, you know, up until the Leafs blue line, where Matthews just started gliding. And by the time Couture got to the net, Matthews was like, you know, way too far back to defend that shot. And, you know, for a guy, you know, who's been struggling to find his offensive game, at least up until, you know, the third period, but has been struggling to find his offensive game, has been playing on a team where he's a leader, where we have, or the Leafs have constantly, you know, started late. You know, it's just he cannot glide like that. That was 20 seconds into a shift. You cannot make an excuse for him. Mm-hmm. You know, he wasn't tired. He just glided. on a defensive back check. And I know that Matthews is committed to defense. We've seen it for years. You know, he has really good defensive numbers, and we've seen him work his ass off on the defensive end of the game. And so it's just disappointing to see that, you know, that effort to start the game again, right after a very disappointing loss again against a team that's probably not playoff bound. It would be a miracle if the Sharks made the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, this is their first win at home, right?
Yeah, they were 2-7 going into it. It's
exactly.
like, what do you? And this is no disrespect to the Sharks. They obviously have some talented guys on there, and I'm not trying to say like the Sharks are bad, but it's just like the Leafs are better, and they should be playing as the better team. Like you can't be giving up that chance that early. You know, it's not acceptable at all. And just the first two periods in general, at least the second period, the rest of that first period was okay, but the second period is just, what are you doing?
We got to talk about those power plays, man. I mean, those penalties that we're giving up, it's getting kind of crazy at this point. Like it seems like a lot of those penalties are a result of the Leafs just not skating fast enough to get to their man, so they're making desperation plays, right? Like that tripping, that the whole the second period where we had or the Sharks went on a 2-man advantage, right, after we took 2 penalties in a row. That hooking that Engvall had, and the tripping with Brody, those are egregious plays, and they definitely should have been called out. Like especially that trip and play. That was, I don't know what Brody was doing in that situation, but he clearly had a stick out there, and his man Hurdle had the puck. So it's crazy to me that they're constantly going on these PKs because of stupid situations, and it just seems like it's a lack of effort on their part.
Yeah, I think both of those penalties that we took in the second period were a result of not skating hard enough, and you get kind of flat-footed, and you have to, you know, use your stick to impede the motion of the other player. It's tough because, you know, in my eyes, like they are penalties. I'm not going to say they aren't penalties, but it's tough for me to like look at that and then take a look at how the refs usually call games and think they're going to be consistent with doing that. Like, I don't think that gets called most of the time, you know, 2 penalties of those caliber at the same time. Usually when a delayed penalty happens, they usually put away the whistles unless something egregious really occurs. But I think it's the issue of, like, you know, with the Engvall hook, he took a chance away, and so they have to call it, right? And that's what it is. And now you're 5-on-3 and you give up a power play goal, which is expected, you know, in a 5-on-3, but then you give up another one. Yeah. And now you're down 3-1. And it's just bad penalties. And then we're talking about Hall. His penalty was the worst.
Yeah,
out of all of them. Like, we didn't get scored against on that, but if we did, I'd certainly be bringing that up more than the other 2 penalties. That was awful. There was no pressure on him, and he makes another mental mistake and just fires it over the glass. And it's just like, what are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do? Like, what options do we have right now?
Exactly, and it's hard to even think about. Like our special teams have been pretty good for us this season, right? Thus far.
Yeah.
But it's difficult when you're constantly going on the having to defend a penalty, right? A power play. They're constantly defending one, and you can't really blame them for giving up these goals, because obviously you are down a man, right? As great as they've been, it is a disadvantage at the end of the day, and it resulted in goals this time for the Sharks. But even our 5-on-5 looked a little bit shaky, and it just seems like they were just lacking the effort out there today.
Yeah, for sure. And like, also to speak to the penalty kill, like Brody, Engvall, and Hall all took penalties. They all play on the PK, you know. So if your penalty killers are taking penalties, you know that your penalty kill is going to be a bit worse, right? You have the guy in the box that should be out on the ice, but you know, I do expect a little more from our penalty kill. To give up 2 power play goals, you know, back to back within like 2 minutes. I understand it was a 5-on-3, but it really puts you in a hole. But yeah, our 5-on-5 play was the absolute absolutely horrible for
Mhm.
most of the game. There were a lot of good points to it, and I think after the goal in the first period, we were pretty solid. The
Mhm.
entirety of the second period, we were shit, and then for a good chunk of the third period, I thought we played pretty well.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's just like that's not good enough. That's like less than 50% of a game against a team that you do have like a major skill advantage on,
Exactly. Mhm. This should have
like
been a gimme game where they get their confidence back, right? And especially for Shalgren being slotted in, right? You want to give him some confidence out there, but they kind of left him out
he
to the
hasn't won a game
wolves.
this season. He
Yeah,
hasn't won a game this season. Samsonov's had all our wins. And I don't blame Shalgren. Like his first shot was ridiculously hard to stop. It wasn't his fault. Like it's difficult to mentally come back from that when that's your first goddamn shot in the game.
exactly. And
It's
it,
on the team. Like stupid.
yeah, and it's looking like he's going to be playing again on Saturday or Sunday when on the second half of the back to back, right? So how is he going to play once he gets that once he comes back on Sunday, right? You don't know, but given they got to give him some more help back there. He's just being left out to the wolves, just getting eaten alive out there. And
Yeah.
I think he played all right today. He made some great saves, but it's hard when you're down three you're down 2 goals, sorry, after the second
Yeah.
period, right?
And
It's just demoralizing.
none of the goals were his fault, in my opinion. Like I
Exactly.
thought he had solid rebound control, but like the first goal wasn't his fault. The second goal wasn't his fault. The third goal was a tip right in front, not his fault. And the fourth goal was a breakaway.
Yeah.
What do you expect your third stringer to do? Like what do you like? Do you think you have like Dominic Hasek in net right now? Like seriously, what do you expect your third stringer to do? Like you're not helping him.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just not acceptable.
Mhm.
This
Mhm.
should have been a statement game from the Leafs to put doubters to shame. And instead, it's just made everyone else just doubt more. Because it's just like, where do you go from here? What are they doing? Where is the effort? There's nothing there for me to actually be optimistic about here.
Mhm.
Like
Exactly.
it's another bad start. They didn't fix that. And like the same, players are playing badly. And the one thing we have to, hang on to is that Matthews scored and like maybe he gets going.
Mhm. Yeah.
But this game, we didn't deserve to get to overtime, in my opinion, and then we lost anyways. And it's just like I don't know what to be optimistic about after these past 2 games. They've just been shit. And I know we're only 8 games into the season, so it's not don't overreact. There's a lot of hockey left to play before playoffs, right? But it's tough to give this team the benefit of the doubt given how our recent history has been.
Yeah.
I think this team deserves the labels it's getting right now. And they have to showcase that they don't, and they haven't yet. And
And
it's disappointing that they haven't.
I want to give a shout out to one of our viewers in the chat. There's Matthew Russell. He's asking why not bring Crawl over Hall. That is a good point. Like I had the exact same question where at this point, like Hall deserves to be scratched. I mean, he looked horrible out there, and it's consistently looked bad. So why not give a shout to a young D-man that we have in our lineup, right? I mean, we are hamstrung in this situation where we don't have Ben and Liljegren. I mean, he played his first game back in the Marlies, so he's getting to the position where he's hopefully ramping up to rejoin
Yeah.
the team sometime soon. But it's kind of difficult because Hall is kind of required, and it's tough bringing a 23-year-old just throwing him to the wolves again as well, right? So what are your thoughts on bringing up
I
Crawl instead?
Yeah, I don't see Crawl coming up over Hall, like at all. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, Crawl is a left D-man, left-hand shot, and Hall is a right shot, and Mete is also a left shot, and Brody's a left shot. So that would be 3 of our guys on the right side, all left shots. And Crawl doesn't even play on his offside. He's a left defenseman. So that's the first thing. But the second thing, and the more important thing that I think the Leafs are going to struggle with is the penalty kill. We don't have someone to take over on the penalty kill if Hall goes out right now in our current state.
Mm-hmm.
and you're pretty screwed if we take as many penalties we do and Philip Kral is playing on the penalty kill. He's just like, that's not
Hey, we would
what
have
he's
taken
there
one
for.
less without Hall in the lineup today.
Yeah,
so.
that's a fair point. But yeah, that's not what he's there. It's tough, and I think it's pretty clear that the Leafs don't know what they're going to do with their defense. Like, we had a bunch of lineup changes this game, and the defensive core stayed the same.
Yeah.
And I think there's nowhere to put Hall right now because we don't have anyone on the back end that can play right now, at least, while there's injuries to Ben and Liljegren and everyone else. So you're kind of hamstrung because you can't put Hall with Gio because that would just create a too slow pairing. And you can't put Hall with Riley. So you're just stuck there with him with Sandin. And you can't really take Hall out right now unless you put someone who can PK in. And so you're screwed. You just have to roll with it right now. But what I will say is you can roll with it. I'm okay with him being in the lineup. Why is he starting the game? Why is he starting the game?
Yeah, I don't understand why he was out there right after.
He deserved to start the game. 20 seconds in. Why is he starting the game? What reason is there for that? It doesn't make sense to me. After he played in Vegas, that was a scratch-worthy game, in my opinion. And you've had bad starts. Like, it's just, what's the reasoning there? And it's like he hasn't been good for the past, 2-3 games. And he's constantly had puck control issues. He's constantly had skating issues where he falls down. What are you doing starting him?
Yeah.
And it bit them in the ass immediately. Why is he getting so much time? I don't understand. I'm okay with him being in the lineup. I'm okay with it. He's the best option the Leafs have right now. They're stuck until Liljegren gets back, which, by the way, a shade of optimism here. Liljegren looked fantastic in that game. Also, if you guys don't know, you could watch the Marlies game on the Leafs app when they play at home, for free, which is dope. I didn't know that before, but you can. So I watched that game, and Liljegren looked fantastic. It didn't look like he missed a beat. His skating is phenomenal. He had a great assist with great puck control. It warmed my heart to see that, and now it makes me just want him to just immediately get into the lineup. But yeah, I'm okay with Hall being in the lineup. That's okay. He's the best option we have right now. You do not have to start him.
Yeah.
What's the reason for that? Keith has to answer for that. That it's just an unacceptable decision. And it ended up biting you in the butt. And you deserve to, because what reasoning did you have there? It's just, I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Exactly. But again, like we mentioned, right, he is hamstrung in terms of swapping people in and out, but he can play around with, I guess, minutes and where he plays the lines, right? But in the forward group, there was a huge shakeup that happened. I mean, a lot of the forward group got completely changed. We saw the first line. I mean, Kerfoot, he was slotted in alongside Matthews and Marner. That I think that looked all right today. I mean, they got one goal, so that's they got Matthews for his first goal in a long time, in 5 games, I think. So that's always good to see. And then the second line, they didn't touch it at all, which is great because the second line has been our best line of the year so far. And the bottom 6, complete revamp. I mean, Bunton was pushed down onto the third line. Yarncroc was given the center position, and then Dennis Mulligan, who we talked about the last couple of game overs, he finally got pushed back to the lineup. And again, they had limited 5-on-5 play when they were constantly on the penalty, but or the PK. But I think they had a couple of chances, especially in the first period. So it's good to see at least some changes happening with that third line, which looked kind of bad for the majority of the season thus far. And finally, the fourth line, we got Aston-Reese added in, and then Engvall and Camp were reunited finally, and that just has a whole lot of inherent chemistry from last season. I mean, they played a lot of their time together, minus Ilya Mikheyev, who actually got a goal today in the Canucks' first win of the season. So
Shout out
great.
Game over Vancouver. Finally covering
game
the win.
over Vancouver. Finally, you guys have something going. But I mean, they looked great too, in my opinion, from the limited time that they had today. But what were your thoughts on the changes, I guess?
Yeah, prior to the game, I liked most of the changes. I like seeing Engvall with Kampf again. It gives them a lot more transitional ability. I thought, we've talked about this before, but the previous games that with Kampf's line is they just didn't have any transition ability and they were getting caved in, for game after game. So it's nice to see, 8 games in, Engvall back with Kampf. And I think they were one of the bright spots that we had in this game. I thought they were all, worked together as a line. I thought they had good numbers in general. I thought they, generally played much better, and Kampf gets a goal. Unfortunately, a streak gets broken. Kampf was every time Kampf scored, we won, and now rip to that streak. But
Is that
other than that,
from last season as well, including last
yeah,
season?
it's like I think it's forever since he's been on the Leafs at least.
Oh,
so
that's a crazy statistic.
yeah, they said it on the broadcast today, but now it no longer.
Feels bad.
Yeah, it feels bad. But they were solid together nonetheless. Kampf, Aston-Reese, and Engvall looked really good together. They got a goal. They looked, generally, they won every shift that they played, pretty much, in my opinion. So I really like that. I like seeing Mulligan again in the lineup. I thought he deserved to be in the lineup. I didn't think he deserved to get scratched. So I also think he has some pretty solid chemistry with Yarncroke. I think their play styles kind of gel with each other. So I thought that line also did pretty well. I thought Mulligan was fairly solid in this game. I thought, obviously with context with the rest of the team, at least, I thought they played all right. Before the game, I liked seeing the second line stay together. I didn't think they deserved to get changed up because, of course, they've been the best line. So why would you change it up? They got caved in this game. Like, chances wise, they got really, really caved in. And Nylander and Tavares both didn't really have that great of a game. And then the OT just put the dagger in that for them. But at the same time, like, this is the first game I thought they've faltered. So
exactly. They consistently look.
I'm not
really
going to
good.
fault Keefe on, keeping that line together. It made sense. Just because they had a bad game doesn't mean it wasn't the correct choice, you know? So I don't fault them for that, but geez, they really had a bad game.
I mean, the entire team had a bad game, to be fair. So
yeah, and I didn't really understand putting Kerf on that first line before the game. Like I thought, like he doesn't really bring what that line has like missed. I thought Bunting actually did a pretty good job elevating that line, even when they were underperforming. But swapping that out might just be to create change and light a fire under Matthews and Marner, and both of them got a goal today, so maybe it worked. Who knows? I'm not sure, but hopefully Matthews can get going from here. That was just like first goal that was on an actual shot and not just like a random tip. So Meyer also, like on the Sharks, also had a huge goal streak broken as well, like a goal slump broken today as well. So kind of both of them got the monkey off their back now. So hopefully Matthews can get going because we've fucking need him to, because our offense has been pretty shit recently. So but other than that, like overall, I thought the lineup changes were good. It's just like the game wasn't like, I thought
what can you say?
Personnel changes made sense, but
they just didn't have enough. Right? They didn't have enough of an opportunity to showcase what they had in the tank. I mean, when you're just having a bad game, you're just constantly on the power on the penalty kill. Like you're the whole team just looks like they're slumping. Like you're really not gonna have a chance to show your best self out there. So
it's just like when they lose, like you're gonna lose some games, and I think part of like they play down to their opponent is a bit overblown, because if you watch other teams, they also lose. Like Arizona is going to be the worst team in the league. Even if you win 25% of the games, right? You're going to disappoint 25% of the teams. Every game you win will be against a team that's better than you. So it inherently happens in hockey, especially in hockey, where luck is, also a factor. But at the same time, when they lose, the least I expect to see is effort. Just a constant effort. That's all I want. And it's just, you don't see that often enough with the Leafs. You don't see them playing with a bit of edge when they're losing. Like they just look dejected. And there was a really good string within like after the third period, I would say, when they got that late second period goal and to start the third, and then they got the goal in the third as well, where I thought they looked pretty solid. But at the same time, it wasn't a burst of like amazing play. It was just better than what we saw in the second period.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they didn't look dominant at all in this game, in my opinion. Like
and they should have. They should have.
Like they should have. We know they're like we know they're better than the way they played today.
Exactly.
In the last game.
Yeah.
And just to constantly see that is just brutal. It's brutal for Leafs fans. Like, what do you have to hang your hat on? We haven't won anything at all.
Yeah. It's disappointing.
It's more of the same problems. And I'm not saying that those problems can't be fixed. I'm not saying it's doom and gloom, fire Dubas. Like, no,
like the chats like, going on right now.
It's game 8.
Yeah.
But something needs to happen with this team for them to figure it out.
I think, and I think that's the worst part about it, is that we know the potential, right? We can see it, and we've seen it in bursts throughout this entire season. Exactly. And just seeing them just lose because of a lack of effort is the worst possible feeling, because it's not even like they're just being outskilled or outplayed. It's the Leafs losing to the Leafs. They're losing to themselves, and them starting late. I mean, we've harped up about this quite a bit now already, but if you start late, it's going to continue on. I mean, momentum is a thing, right? And if you let a goal out in the first 30 seconds of the game, or if you play really crap for the first 5 minutes of a game, it's going to continue on. It's going to take a while for you to get back into the game. And being down a goal, I mean, that's just a morale dump.
Yeah.
It's never going to be good.
3 of the goals against, like all of the goals against within regulation, were a result of a lack of back checking, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like Brody got flat-footed and took a penalty, which resulted in a goal.
Yeah.
And Vol got, beat to the front and had to hook a guy, ended up in a goal. And then Justin Hall and Auston Matthews glided back or lost his man and ended up in a goal. And even in the overtime, like I know, like John Tavares isn't gonna catch up to Erik Karlsson. Like Erik Karlsson's just a faster guy, so I'm not gonna dog on Tavares for that. But it was just like, why did we even end up in a situation where Erik Karlsson's getting a breakaway?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand it's overtime, but like Sandin went up pretty far, and then we just didn't have someone back to. That's a mistake.
Yeah,
that's a mistake.
Exactly.
And it's just like, I don't want to discredit the Sharks at all here, because I thought the Sharks actually played a really good game. Mm-hmm. They capitalized on all their opportunities. They deserve credit for playing well. But at the same time, the Leafs are getting in their own way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Every single game, they are getting in their own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they need to figure I don't know what Keefe is saying in the background. I don't this is something that I've also thought about, is like in the All or Nothing series, when we had a 10-game win streak somewhere early in the season, they showcased Keefe talking about them not playing the right way, even very early on in the season in 2020. And, he just talked about building playoff habits.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw him preach that and talk about that very early on in the middle of a win streak. We know that he talks about that. Where's the disconnect here?
Yeah.
The players are capable. We know the coaches been talking about this for years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is happening? Why can't these guys do it?
Mm-hmm.
What is stopping them?
Yeah, they have another game tomorrow actually, so we'll see how that goes. But
no, it's Saturday, not Friday.
I mean, technically, it's Friday today. It's
Yeah.
1:40 in the morning.
Fair. And we're talking
it's another
about
late ass game that we have to cover in a loss. But
and I have to be up at 5:30.
Yeah, I got at 8:30 in the morning too. But just a quick break. If you guys are enjoying the content so far, make sure you give a like. It really helps the channel out. Subscribe and share with your friends, right? And if you have some questions, write it in the chat. We'll take a look at it and we'll discuss it on the show. But yeah, I mean, the next game they're going to be playing off against the Kings. And it's going to be a harder game, but it's another team that we should be winning against, right?
We should be winning against like 90%. Like I see a lot of comments right now that are saying that maybe they're not as good as we thought. They had 115 points last season. Like, no, they are a good team. Like, I don't want to make this excuse that they're not, like, they are playing to their potential.
But we got to think about it from
they are
this
a good team. Do
they
not
are,
give them that excuse.
Yes, but they are, like, again, they are missing some key players in their defense. I mean,
I don't care.
Liljegren.
You have your whole core.
I know. My whole point is, like, forget about what happened in the past. Just take it game by game at this point. Stop thinking about the great season that they had last year with disappointed finals or disappointed in playoffs. But take it one game at a time at this point. Like, forget about what happened before. Forget about the last two games. Just take it a game at a time and build. Just focus on certain aspects of that game and build off of that, right?
Yeah, that is a fair point. And also, like, I wonder how much the past affects our players. Because I think it's safe to say that the past 100% affects the fan base's view of
past. I mean,
team.
forget about, like, Hall. I'm sure he has PTSD from the last fucking game. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Forget about the past. He's probably like on Twitter just seeing all the hate that he's getting from Vegas. And today, I'm sure at the end of the game, he's just like, "Oh crap, I'm gonna get absolutely laid out on Game Over Toronto today." But yeah, I mean, it comes with the fans. I mean, the fan base. You're playing in Toronto. It's the biggest. It's the mecca of hockey. What do you, it's good. It comes with the check. You signed up for this, but
yeah.
you gotta push through it. And I mean, at least we got one hurdle out of the way. Matthews got a goal, so hopefully he plays and continues.
2-8.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. Last season he had the same thing where he was like one goal in like a 6-game slump or something. So, and he ended off fantastic. So, but yeah, it just needs one game. Just take it one game at a time, one win at a time, and slowly build up the confidence again. And yeah, it's gonna be tough. I don't know how Sheldon Keefe kind of turns this around in such short time or such short period. It just has to be within the players at this point. I don't know what Keefe has to say.
Like Keefe and Dubas, Dubas talked about not getting an extension this year until the end of the season. Like Brendan Shanahan has told Dubas he will not be getting an extension until the season ends.
One quick thing that I wanted to point out, Canuck Clay in the chat, he said, agree about taking it a game at a time. By doing so, I can get excited about the Canucks being undefeated since today.
He's a Game Over Vancouver host. Go follow him on Twitter. That's fucking hilarious.
Hey,
Vancouver undefeated. Yeah,
I love how Mikheyev had to score during that too. Like, we brought back the gang, got Engvall and Camp playing together, and Mikheyev gets a goal and just brings the Canucks the first win, and we're just stuck here crying.
Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, but Dubas and Keefe probably know they are at least there's pressure on them right now.
Oh, definitely.
And like not only from the media, like they've had pressure from the media since they were hired, but like from the organization. Like this is a year for them that they have to prove themselves.
Yeah.
And it's not going well so far. You know what I mean? Like it's not horrible. Like we're 500, but like that's not our potential.
No, 500 is not.
That's
let's not kid
as hell.
ourselves. 500 is not good enough. And
of course it's not good enough. And
like obviously, I'm not going to take the stance of like fire Dubas and Keefe right now. It's only October, right? Let's
relax.
give them some time.
That'd be reactionary.
But they definitely need to. Keefe needs to figure something out. I don't know. The thing is, I don't know the solution.
That's what I'm saying.
I have no idea what you do with this team at this point, other than pray Ilya Mikheyev, or pray that Liljegren, not Ilya Mikheyev, sorry, pray that Liljegren is healthy enough and comes up sooner rather than later. What else can you do? It's on the players at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is on the players. Like I don't they're not playing well for Keith. You know what I mean? Like I just it's just disappointing. It's just disappointing. Like, you know, every now and again they're gonna have a bad game, and I'm not gonna dog on them every time they have a bad game. You know, but it's after the bad game how you respond that, like, that's what I want to see. You know, after you've had time and you can come out and make a statement as a team. It's just we can't do that right now. At least this game, we can't do that. You know, they're gonna do it eventually. They're gonna figure it out. Yeah. Like we're a very reactionary fan base in general, and I'm part of that, and I'm very reactionary as well. I'm not gonna kid myself here. But
you'll see a win in
and I'll be right back on the train. I'll be like, this is the fucking best team ever.
Hall gets a goal, best defenseman in the team.
But right now it's just sad times in Leafland. Just sad.
I mean, we'll see what happens. Keith, good luck. That's all I can say.
Good luck. We'll see on Saturday what they do.
Well, I mean, they play against the Kings. Samsonov is going to be back in the lineup. Samsonov is going to be in the lineup for this. Shalgren probably in the lineup for Sunday's game against the Ducks. So it's going to be some tough games, but definitely games that they should be winning. So we'll see how they fare. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than start on time and play smart, skate. Give some effort out there.
At least we got a point.
We wanted more. But I mean, that's gonna do it with us over here. Thank you to everyone for watching at almost 2:00 in the morning. I'm gonna have to be up in like 5 hours, but
3.5, baby. Work's gonna be tough. Let's just say that.
So, you know, all the people in this chat that are yelling for Dubas and Keith to get fired, they're the true OGs for staying up this late. So appreciate it. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Tune in to the other game overs as well. We have a lot of shows that are here on SDPN, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you click the bell to get notified when there is new content coming up. And for all your podcast needs, I mean, we have it on Spotify, Apple, I mean, wherever you get your podcasts, look it up. We got it up there. Thank you for everything. Hopefully the next game we get a dub, please. I can't suffer another loss. But that's going to do it from us. Good night, guys.
Nate.